Thank you so much, Charlene. That's amazing. All right, ladies, good to see you again. I've seen you all day, but it's amazing to be here in with my speaker hat on now. So I'm thrilled to be talking to you today about how to maximize your superpower to grow your business. Now, I appreciate that not everybody listening, whether you're here with us in the room or live on the Facebook group, I appreciate not everybody has a business, but it's really how to maximize your superpower to grow your business or amplify your impact. Because I do believe that we all came to this place, right, to have a positive impact. And if you're anything like me, you want to have a massive positive impact on the world. Ever since forever, I've wanted to change the world for good. And actually use that as my tagline now: amplify your impact to change the world for good. And my usual topics that I talk about are visibility and how to get media and how to rock a panel interview and what to wear. And I talk about all that stuff, which is amazing. But I had a little bit of an aha moment recently. You know, those times when the universe kind of, or, right? Or, and you suddenly go, oh my gosh, it's standing right in front of me the whole time. And I thought, you know, I'm going to talk about something different today. I'm going to talk about using your superpower. And I'm going to talk about what that is for me and hopefully what that is for you as well. So before we dive in, if I was to say to you, as we sometimes say in the business world, what is your superpower? What would you say? Type it in the chat box. Type it below. What is your superpower? What is the thing that you do so naturally? You do it without thinking. It's the thing that brings you joy. You can call it your area of genius if you want, your area of joy and genius. Go ahead and comment if you happen to know. I had this conversation with my husband the other day about superpowers. And I said, well, what do you think Ruby's superpower is? And straight away, he says empathy. And I'm like, totally. And then I go, what about Jonah? And he says, living in the moment. Yep. It was amazing how in tune we were about our children and their superpowers. I said, what about Xavier? And he goes, oh, he's harder. He's 10. I'm not really sure. And I was like, I know what it is. Negotiation. I mean, have you met that child? Honestly, it's like give an inch, take a mile. He's going to be a wealthy man or a very influential man one day. He's a charmer, but he's a negotiator. And so these, yes, you can call these skills or strengths. These are your superpowers. And what I've seen in my 15 plus years of working with individuals, entrepreneurs in the area of personal development and business, I have noticed that a lot of people start their business using their superpower, and then somehow you get lost in your to-do list. Anyone else ever been lost in their to-do list? And suddenly you found that you've navigated away slightly from your superpower and you're overburdened by doing all sorts of other things. So I'm going to share a little story about that. I'm just going to read out to you what some people have said thus far. Making people feel comfortable. Louise, what a cool superpower. Giving. Charlene. She says her superpower is giving, so I also need to learn how to get as well. Well, yes, you've hit the nail on the head. We're going to go there today. Okay, so I want you guys to have an open mind about what your superpower might be and how you can use it better in your business to amplify your impact, or more in your life to amplify the impact. So a few weeks ago, I was really emotional. Like, I wanted to ring my daughter's school and I couldn't even call them. I thought, if I get on the phone with them, I'm going to cry and I'm going to sound like a crazy mother. So those of you that have children will know what it's like when your child's not happy and you go into what we call hashtag mama lion mode, like mama lion mode, right? So I remember last year when my Jonah was going through a little bit of bullying stuff, and I was like, where, let me in, let me at him, you know, I'm in there. But I wasn't. I calmed myself down. And this year it was a little bit different because I loved high school. I grew up in Canada, as I've mentioned before, and I had a great life. Like, you know, when people talk about, oh, high school, you know, bullying and pressure and peer pressure and like the cool kids, I'm like, I loved it. I had a great time. I'm what they call a floater. So I wasn't in the cool group and I wasn't in the whatever. I was just like a floater. I just knew everybody. And here's why. My superpower, if someone said to me, Nat, what's your superpower? I always say, without hesitation, connecting people. I always say that. And that is because it's what I've always done. It's what I love to do. It's what I do naturally. I would do it without being paid, but I've actually built a business based on it, which is interesting. And I'll come to that in a second. But a few weeks ago, I was going through a really hard time because my daughter was going through a really hard time. I was great. I was busy with my business, but she wasn't settling back into school. And it wasn't a bad toxic situation or anything like that. It was just that she wasn't with her friends and she felt lonely and alone. And I started having other moms talk to me about their daughters who also, at one point or another, felt alone and felt like they had no friends. And then I looked at my Instagram feed, Go To Girl NZ. And if you guys go and look at my Instagram feed, it's like me going shopping for eco-friendly op shop items with my clients and my friends. It's me for business lunches. And I looked at my Instagram and I thought, oh my God, I sell friendship. Like, yes, I help people get on TV and radio and magazines and do their keynote talk and whatever, but I actually sell friendships. I actually sell connections. And it wasn't until I was on a Zoom call with someone I was interviewing. Now, she's an education expert. And I said to her, you're running all these summits. That's so amazing. So she goes, yeah, well, I'm a deal maker. And I was like, what do you mean by that? She's like, I'm a deal maker, in the wealth dynamic profile. Comment if you've heard about the wealth dynamics. It's personality types for entrepreneurs. It's fascinating. And I said, oh, you're a deal maker? I don't know what that is, but I'm a star. I said, I'm a star. I love to be on stage. And I said, but you know what? That's interesting. Maybe I'm a deal maker too. Because I even said to her, I said a few weeks ago, and I say it all the time, as much as I love getting on TV, being interviewed, being on stage, I love it just as much when my girls, my people, my clients are on stage themselves or on TV. Like, I get just as much of a boost when they are the ones in the limelight. And in that moment, I was like, oh my God, I'm a deal maker and I sell friendship. Even though I've been in business 9 years, it was this aha moment for me. And I realized that while I still do that and I do sell connections, I thought, oh my gosh, that's interesting, because in our New Zealand second lockdown, I started a new revenue stream for my business, right? If I had a diagram, I would draw a circle and I'd have all these arrows pointing in. These are revenue streams. And I started something called Thank You Club. And it's built basically on connecting people with opportunities to shine the light on each other and receive thank you commission, affiliate commission, thank you commission. And so I realized I was already doing it, but what I didn't realize is how important friendships are to everybody. Because if I said to you, what's something that has a massive impact on mental health? Something that can make and break your marriage. Something that can change your confidence, your resilience, even your immunity. You know what it is? I call it the other F word. It's friendship. Friendship is what keeps us going in hard times. Friendship is something that we all need. And we don't need 20,000 friends. I was actually out at a business connections lunch that I created, because that's what I do. And I realized, oh my God, I do this all the time. These free business connections get-togethers. And one of the guys there said, I have 3,000 followers. I have 8,000 people in my group, but I have like 3 friends. And men's loneliness is a big deal for me. The book that I wrote behind me, If Only They Told Me, is a parenting book. But I am concerned about mental health, not just for young kids, but a lot for men as well. They don't have friendship the way we have friendship. I think if a mom at school drop-off the other day said to me, hey, Nat, do you want to go for coffee? I said, actually, I'm going to my boot camp, but another day would be awesome. You don't really get dads saying that to each other if they don't really know each other. It would seem weird. Why is that? Friendships is the key, I think, to happiness, to resilience, and a little bit to business success. So my superpower is something I'm using, which is connecting people, but I didn't realize how much friendships was woven into this. And I love that we started the day today, for those of you that were with us at the start, with Ellie Bambury talking about friendships and loneliness. I think it's a massive issue. Go ahead and comment. Does anyone, if you can think of your earliest important friendship, how crucial was that for you? Something early on in your life. My best friend, Allie, when I was in grade 7, which is, I don't know, I guess that's year 8 or something in New Zealand. And her and I were thick as thieves. We were like besties. We looked the same. We had blonde hair. This isn't my real hair color. We had blonde hair and we were both like the same. And then she started to grow taller. She just left me in the dust because I'm quite short. And then in whatever year it was, a few years down the road, her sister ended her own life. My best friend's sister. So that's why I care so much about it. You know, about suicide is such my jacket that I chose. Can you read it? It says courage. It's not something I like to talk about because I'm very big on, it's not my story to share. But I'm very, very concerned about the suicide rate. And so when Kathy was on earlier talking about social media and the impact and the suicide rates going up, I'm like, girl, let me help you with that, right? Because that's something I care about. So we all have and that comes back to friendships. Why does that come back to friendships for me? I always felt like I never did enough for her. Not in the lead up, but afterwards, my friend Allie, by the way, we're still friends. I rung her a few weeks ago and I was like, I just want to say, because Ruby was going through a hard time, it made me call her. We hadn't talked for about a year. And I said, I just want to say that, you know, you are such I loved our time in high school together and you were such a big part of it. And I started crying on the phone to her. But I just think you have to tell people how important they were. So if you guys have someone pivotal in your life that was a key friendship for you, call them up. Like, don't wait for something to happen. She's in Canada. I cannot go and visit her. But I just called her up and I was like, thank you for all the memories and all the fun times we had. And that's the reason I got so upset for my daughter. I'm like, I want you to love high school, whether you have a best friend or a group of friends. She does have a group of friends. They just weren't in the same class. And I was almost just as upset as she was. And my husband's like, she just needs to stick it out. And I'm like, stick it out? Like, that is so not my life philosophy. So in case you haven't noticed, I'm more of a say what you want, make it happen person. So I said to Ruby, honey, there's 3 things we can do. We can change your mindset. We can change your class schedule, or we can change your school. And we actually looked at all 3. That's why I was like, I'm going to ring up these other schools, but I don't think I have the strength to call because I'm just going to cry on the phone. We ended up changing her mindset and actually asking for what we wanted, which is, can we shuffle the schedule? So she's actually with some of her friends. She has a lot of friends. They just weren't together. And that's what we did. And everything's fine. But you know, a mother's love is something, isn't it? When you go into that mama lion mode. So here's where I want to go for you guys. Are you using your superpower currently in your business or in your life? So if you have a job, are you in your area of your zone of genius or joy? Are you using your superpower? If not, maybe it's time to either negotiate your role description, or for those of you in business, look at your different multiple revenue streams. For me, I do a lot of things. I have a couple of businesses going on. I have my doTERRA business. I have my parenting thing, which isn't really a business, it's just a book. I have my Go-To Girl business, and I do coaching as well. And it's like all of these things, the common thread is connecting people. It's actually friendships. And so for me, really honing into that to take things next level, because in 2021, I want to blow it up. I'm ready to blow it up. Income, impact. I'm ready to amplify even more than before. So I want you to reflect on that for yourself. Where can you pivot or navigate your business better or your job better so that you truly are using your superpower to change the world for good? Now, here's a warning, and Charlene alluded to it already. The problem with superpower, remember, yes, use your superpower, but you are not superwoman and you don't need to be, okay? Use your superpower because we all know your strengths in overdrive become your weakness. Your strengths in overdrive become your weakness. So let's say empathy is your superpower. That's, you know, because you really feel for other people like Ruby. And I'm sure, you know, or maybe generosity is your superpower, which is incredible. And it serves you in so many ways. But guess what? If you're in business and generosity is your superpower, you're going to like give away way too many free samples to people, or you're going to give away way too much of your time to people. Or you'll be like, oh, you want me to come and speak for free? Like, okay, I normally charge, but okay, right? You're going to just be a yes woman because you just want to help. And we all want to help, but we got to help number one. You got to make number one, that's you, your number one priority, and then you can serve from a bigger place. Does that resonate with anyone? You guys can comment below. Yay, Kathy says, my school friend and I have reached out to each other thanks to social media. It's awesome to connect. I am going to, mark my words, create a Zoom reunion for me and my high school friends. I actually was meant to go to our 20th high school reunion many years ago, and then we had the Christchurch earthquake and everything got uplifted in our whole life, which is not what I'm talking about today. That's about my resilience story. But within 30 hours, my husband lost his job, we had a massive earthquake, and we had a baby. We ended up having to move cities, and we had like no money to be traveling to Canada for a reunion. So I can create a reunion. I can create one on Zoom, and you can do the same. So whatever your superpower is, I invite you today to step into it bigger, to acknowledge it for how powerful it is, but not to go into overdrive so that it ends up being an Achilles heel for you. All right, and I'm going to wrap up with my favorite saying, which is always remember to not settle for the life you think you have. To create the movie in your mind that you want, you definitely need to up your brave. What does that mean? You need to dust yourself off, push past the pushback. You will get people, if you try to add a new revenue stream or you suddenly want to change your job description, you'll have people saying, look, why are you doing that? You don't, you'll have resistance. But you got to up your brave, say what you want, and make it happen. Awesome. I'm not sure where we are for timing. I'm going to end it there. Happy to answer questions.